This week, I'm trying to help two sets of novice developers who don't seem to know what they've taken on.
We're now going to move this window over to here and make it smaller.
I think you're nuts.
I do think it's an old house and you have ripped the guts out of it.
I agree.
Oh, do you? The lure of an extra income inspires many to dabble in developing while hanging on to the security of a day job. But this juggling act requires determination, dedication, and bags of common sense. As highly qualified scientists, these are qualities Julie Thomas and Lee Jones are confident they possess. They're really keen to get into property developing, and for their first experiment, they've bought this tiny 2 up, 2 down in the village of Shillington in Bedfordshire. The house needs total modernisation, but although Julie and Lee are complete novices, they feel confident that their scientific minds and methodical approach will make a winning formula, one to fulfil their dreams.
The ultimate aim really of doing this is to make some money, and so we're really into sports cars, and so to be able to have a really nice flash sports car would be brilliant.
This is an ambitious goal, and one I fear that could be asking too much of this battered little cottage. They bought it for £106,000 and plan to spend only £20,000 on its renovation. They hope to sell for £150,000 and make a £24,000 profit.
We're going to try and keep our costs down by doing a lot of the work ourselves.
We're probably going to spend most of our evenings here and certainly most weekends where we can.
We think at the moment it's going to be great fun. How hard can it be really at the end of the day?
In my experience, it can be very hard, and their naive enthusiasm is a worry. Julie wants this to be her second career, but despite having a PhD, she's done virtually no research for this project. They haven't even had a survey. Their 20 grand budget is tight, their 3-month schedule even tighter for 2 people with full-time jobs. And to top it all, their plans are unnecessarily complicated. Currently, the cottage consists of 2 double bedrooms upstairs, one a reasonable size, but the second very small. Downstairs, there's a living room, kitchen, and a small single-storey extension housing the only bathroom. Julie and Lee want to cram in a bathroom upstairs, but this means losing half of the already tiny second bedroom. To compensate, they'll move the stairs, which is a huge job, and means downstairs the little sitting room will become even smaller. This is crazy. Julie and Lee seem to be making changes for change's sake. And they're failing to address the cottage's real problem.
It is really small, this house.
Yeah.
And my question mark would be whether you're spending the money in the right area to really add value, because the problem with the house is how big it is.
Yeah.
To add value to this house, you need to add square footage. It's not a solution to the layout to just move the stairs and stick a bathroom in. I just don't believe you're going to make a profit on this unless you extend it.
The house already has a small single-storey extension, but it's not big enough to really help the layout problems. I think they should demolish this and get rid of the old kitchen and build a new full-width 2-storey extension. Downstairs, this will give them a great kitchen diner with French doors leading out onto the garden. And upstairs, they'll have 2 good-sized double bedrooms and a family bathroom.
If you extend the house out here, you end up with more square footage. More square footage equals more value when you come down to it.
I would love to be able to do it. It would just be fantastic. But, I mean, if we can get, you know, a builder who can do it within our budget.
The end value of this, if you've sold the layout and you've got a really great 2-bedroom house, that's how you'll get your 150,000, 160,000 resale. But I think with a sort of slightly awkward one and a bit bedrooms, you're going to be getting less money, and the difference is going to be bigger than the cost of the extension. Have another look at it.
Sometimes the only way to make money is to spend money, and doing an extension here will more than pay for itself. In fact, without it, they're very unlikely to get the £150,000 sale price they're after. But they've left themselves with very little flexibility.
We haven't really got a contingency in place, and that's our biggest concern really, is that 20,000 is our limit.
Julie and Lee have mortgaged themselves to the hilt, so need to squeeze every drop of potential from this place, which means an extension is essential. But while they're reluctant to do work that will add value, they're getting stuck into work that won't.
I've never used a crowbar before. Oh, it's hollow. It's not even solid, is it?
Lee thinks buyers would prefer the house to look more modern, so he wants to remove all the old plaster so it can be redone to make neater, straighter walls. What he fails to realise is that this is a quaint period property and uneven walls only add to its charm. They haven't the first idea what it is they've bought.
What I'm worried about is I'm not seeing any brick. If you look at the outside, we're going to be outside in a minute.
How thick is it?
Not very. How did they make cottages in those days, terraced houses?
A Watland daub.
Watland daub. We've just spent £106,000 on a bundle of sticks, really. I think we should maybe just stop there and just take the paper off.
Julie's right, I think they should stop. There's nothing wrong with these walls. This is a timber-framed cottage with traditional laths and lime plaster. It's madness to be tearing it apart willy-nilly. Lee's modernisation plan could actually ruin the character of the house, and I'm starting to wonder whether science and property development are such a good mix. In Wroxham, on the Norfolk Broads, dress shop owner Heidi Sutton is another novice developer with high hopes. With her husband Paul, she's bought this 1930s bungalow from her parents, who recently moved out after 28 years.
It's just already doesn't look like Mum and Dad's house anymore, does it?
No.
I'm seeing it in a completely different light now.
Heidi's hired a team of builders but is keen to learn how to project manage herself, as she's hoping this will launch her new career in property.
Renovating my parents' house is like an ideal opportunity for me to get into something that I really wanted to have a go at.
Heidi bought the bungalow from her parents for the bargain price of £200,000. She has £37,000 to spend on the refurbishment and hopes to sell for £300,000, which means she'll make a very tidy profit of £63,000. Such a high profit isn't unrealistic, as Heidi did get a bargain price from her parents. But even potential as good as this can be wasted through bad planning. The success of this project will depend on whether Heidi's skills can transfer from running a clothes shop to running a building site.
So you're going to be in control of the builders then?
Yeah, I just like to keep an eye on the builders and make sure they're doing everything as requested.
So when things go wrong, do you think you'll find it easy to pull them in?
Very easy.
Really? So you're quite good at being a boss?
Yes, I can. Yeah, I can be if I put my mind to it. I don't necessarily find it easy, but I can be if I want to, yeah. I think it's quite important that you feel that you can get on quite well. I think you've got to quite like your builder.
It's a very difficult relationship to manage. I mean, the important thing, though, is to remember who's paying who.
Yes.
And who's in charge.
Yes.
Heidi sounds confident, but she's got her dress shop to run, so I hope she realises just how much time and attention the development is going to demand. At the very least, she needs to know what's happening on site.
Much to my surprise, they started the building earlier than expected. There have been occasions where I kind of feel as I want to be there to keep control of things, but they've managed all right without me, so it's been all right.
This is a terrible start. Heidi hasn't grasped just how much work project managing involves, or that unless she's across every single thing that happens on site, the development may well run away from her. In Shillington, things are getting totally out of hand. This should have been a simple modernisation job, but it's become an exercise of deconstruction. And since Lee's discovered power tools, Julie's begun worrying.
We've ended up just barely 4 walls standing, really. Structurally, the rest is sort of come out. I mean, the house is like levitating. It's like, we're amazed it's still standing. Every time we drive down the road, I keep thinking it's not going to be there. It's just going to be a big pile of rubble. It's going to have caved in on itself.
She's right to be worried. I don't know how much more of Lee's modernisation this poor little cottage can take. In Shillington, Bedfordshire, scientists Julie Thomas and Lee Jones are devoting all their free time to their first development. Without the benefit of experience or research, they've unnecessarily ripped the plaster from the walls of their cottage. Now, in his drive to take everything back to basics, Lee's begun demolishing the bathroom and is disturbingly confident.
There's not that much to it, really, is there?
No.
It's just making sure you do the right things in the right order and make sure you prop stuff up before you knock something down.
Lee's version of modernisation is more like demolition. And with no spare walls left, he's turned his attention to the floor. Perhaps rather late in the day, Julie started doing some research.
Looking on these reclamation websites, I actually found that you're looking at about £150 a square metre to buy 30-centimetre original floorboards. And we actually burnt ours on the bonfire. It was just naivety. We just didn't realise. I mean, I thought we might be able to keep the original boards and we might be able to sand them. And Lee was like, you know, just wanted to take them out anyway. He was saying, no, we'll just get new. But I really didn't know that they were that valuable.
And as their profits go up in smoke, so too does the character of this 150-year-old cottage. They need stopping before this goes any further.
Hello. Hi. God, you've demolished the house, practically.
Pretty much.
You've had to replace some of the joists, have you? What was wrong with them?
Some of them are suspended very tenuously at the ends.
But, I mean, did the building inspector have a problem with them?
He didn't. I mean, it didn't look good.
And you are going to end up with a straight ceiling and straight floors. But I do think it's an old house and you have ripped the guts out of it. And I personally think that perhaps slightly unnecessarily, in some ways, some of it.
I agree. Absolutely.
Oh, do you? So I think you just got. It's like, I think
we
I'm like.
had a major argument about this. This was like 3 days worth of rowing, wasn't it?
Oh, really?
So yeah, I mean, I really did not want to take the original beams out.
What are you going to pop back down?
We're going to put real wood back down, aren't we?
Yeah. Why not put chipboard? Because to be honest, you're putting new joists in, and you might as well put chipboard down. Because a house like this, you want carpeted bedrooms, don't you? Really?
I feel guilty for taking up the original floorboards, and I feel guilty for us taking out the beams. And I feel that if I can put back something similar, like real wood floors,
it's not in any way a replication, I don't think, of what was originally there. And if it's not a replication, you might as well put down chipboard and carpet.
Julie's guilt isn't going to bring back the floorboards, and carpet would be a far more affordable solution. I think they should be cutting back wherever they can, as they've got one of the tightest budgets I've ever seen. They've only got £1,800 for all the flooring and decoration, and have £2,700 set aside for other building materials. They've allocated £3,600 for the kitchen and bathroom, and are hoping to replace all the windows and doors for £2,300. To renew the electrics and install the new plumbing, they've allowed £1,600, and they've another £1,600 for damp proofing and timber treatment. As they're planning to do much of the work themselves, they've got only £2,000 for labour. With fees of £4,600, that gives them a grand total of just over £20,000. What's noticeably lacking in this budget is the one item that could really add value, adding space with a new extension. But at least now they've agreed to consider it before they go any further.
make a big difference, wouldn't it?
No, but I don't think we can have anything quite that big. I mean,
No. And then what would we have that room as?
that'll be the back bedroom, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Or study, or
Yeah.
the bathroom would go in the middle where the existing bedroom is.
Ah, yes, hello. I'm ringing about an extension. At the moment, we're just looking for quotes, really, to see whether we can afford to actually do it.
2 weeks and lots of research later, they've reached a compromise. They can't find the money for a full width extension, but will build above what's already there. This won't give them the ultimate layout, but it will be a massive improvement. Though they still seem to be viewing the development as a huge experiment rather than a business.
We had builders round to give us quotes, and just to build above what we've already got, we were talking, I mean, minimum 7,500, which would take our budget well over what we wanted. And so...
And you think it'll be less than that?
Well, because we're gonna do it ourselves.
Oh my God, this is sounding like a disaster.
I went on a DIY course where I learnt some bricklaying, and Lee's built a brick barbecue, haven't you, in the past?
Well, you're laughing then, aren't you?
And it's still standing, isn't it?
You probably will prove me completely wrong and do a beautiful job, but if you do a really terrible job, it's going to look absolutely awful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it will take us longer, I think, than getting somebody in.
So is money really so tight that you have to do all this yourselves?
We hadn't allowed for the extension within the budget, so the more we can do ourselves, then obviously that helps.
Yeah. We'll only get people in when it's absolutely clear that we can't do it ourselves. If we can do it ourselves, it's going to take us twice as long.
Yeah.
We'll do it ourselves to
Yeah.
save the money rather than...
Right, and so basically it's cheaper to pay the mortgage for a longer period than it is to get people in.
Well, we'd actually allowed 6 months mortgage payments in our budget, and so...
Is that including the selling time? Was that just for the building work? Oh, you've allowed 6 months in total?
Yeah, in 6 months in total, haven't we? Really, we hadn't thought about selling time.
So can you get your hands on another £2,000 or £3,000 for some more mortgage payments if you have to?
We could use our credit cards if things got out of hand.
I think you just need to keep your kind of eye on the fact that for every month a job takes you more than a professional, it's costing £500.
Accepting the equation that extra time equals extra mortgage payments, they reach their first sensible business decision. But bringing in builders is not something that Julie has taken lightly.
It's a little bit upsetting because we really would have liked that experience. Feel like, in a way, we're sort of backing down, you know. Although it's not difficult, it's the time, really. And we are in it sort of as property developers. And so you've got to look at the overall costs and what's going to be the cheapest option. And it is working out cheaper getting people in.
We've got it up in a day, so I think if Julie and Lee had had a go at it, it'd have taken, I don't know, 2-3 weeks.
But they are still resolute they'll do everything else themselves. True to their scientific backgrounds, they've started reading up and have realised the cottage's quirkiness is central to its appeal. So instead of modernising, they now want to renovate in a traditional manner, including replacing all the lime plaster they just stripped off.
We've been advised by several people that it's not actually that difficult. As long as you sort of don't try and rush it, take your time with it, then it is relatively easy.
They've forgotten the fact that time is money and they're short on both. Yet they're dead set on lime plastering the walls themselves, even though it's a highly specialist skill that neither of them possess. So they sign up for a crash course in Devon.
Oh, fab. Do I look like a real plasterer? Oh, I like this. Well, I've got plenty of walls to practice on, haven't I?
They're already fitting developing in around their full-time jobs, and they're wasting valuable time. Lime plastering is a massive undertaking that will add weeks to the schedule and nothing to the value of the finished property. And while they're spending their leave practicing plastering in the West Country, their business venture is at a standstill. In Norfolk, Heidi Sutton's site is all frantic activity. She's project managing the renovation of her parents' old home in the hope of launching a new career. But her builder started work early, and in her eagerness to get this place finished, she's ploughing ahead with a rather awkward layout. At one end of the bungalow, there's currently a living room, 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. At the other end, there's a study and kitchen overlooking the garden. Heidi hopes to maximise profit by turning the study into a 3rd bedroom with its own ensuite. But to avoid accessing the bedroom straight from the kitchen, she's separating them with a corridor. But this eats into the kitchen space, and what could be a lovely view onto the garden is obscured by this imposing wall. Heidi should reconsider her plans.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
So, I mean, this is quite bizarre. It's a big hallway here. And I do find this wall slightly bizarre here. There's such a great view out to the garden, and it kind of breaks up the space.
Funny you should say that, because I thought that when the plans were given to me by the architect.
What do you think?
This, I think it's a bit more imposing than I initially thought it would be, and where we've had, in previous times, we've just expected to see quite a big expansive kitchen. Well, now it's been shut down.
If you do have reservations, think about it now, and I would change your mind now, because I assure you that once this is plastered and it's all finished, if you still are feeling, oh, I wish we hadn't done that, you'll be really kicking yourself. Whereas, I mean, now taking a wall down is relatively simple.
Is it going to make much difference to the value of the property, though?
Ultimately, the reason someone will pay top whack is because they don't need to do any work to it and they can move straight in, and it's the best possible layout that it could be. I personally would take the wall down.
Heidi's idea to create a 3rd double bedroom is a good one, but instead of putting it in the old study, I feel she'd be better off putting it in what was the living room. This would mean all the bedrooms would be together at one end of the bungalow, and the other end could then be opened up, transforming it into a light open-plan kitchen living dining area. With French doors onto the garden, there'd be great views from the living areas. This simple open-plan layout would have a wider appeal.
Sarah said it's never too late to change your mind about anything, and I thought I felt that way too, but having been the person that's in charge of what's going on and having to turn around to the builders and say, whoa, whoa, hold it, you know, we've changed our minds, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, you're going to have to pull this down and put that window there and cancel that order. I can't do it at the moment. I haven't got enough confidence to do that.
Heidi started this project with a naive belief that managing a team would be easy. She's actually finding it much harder than she ever imagined, but she really needs to regain her confidence and have a rethink. A 100 miles away in Shillington, Julie and Lee are now paying for their demolition derby. If they hadn't stripped back all the walls, this project could be nearly finished. As it is, they've got a huge amount of work ahead of them, which they're still trying to fit around their full-time jobs. But Julie has her rose-tinted glasses on.
It's not so much about the profit, it's more about the love of what we've done and enjoying what we've done. I really love the cottage. I kiss it secretly sometimes. Just there, kiss it and talk to it when I'm on my own.
10 weeks into a 12-week schedule, and Julie seems to have lost the plot. They set out on this project dreaming of sports cars, but there's a danger they'll waste away all their profit if they don't speed up.
This is the bit I've been dying to do. I'm getting there. Okay, Lee, I don't think I'm gonna be good at this, actually. Oh, that's not how it was at the course, was it?
I admire their determination, but this is going to take forever and could look awful. Have they forgotten they have tens of thousands of pounds riding on the success of this project?
I don't think we've taken it on too much here. I mean, I think it's great. Even it takes us like twice as long or 3 times as long as somebody else. We're going to have done it.
She's still ignoring the fact that going over schedule means going over budget, which means less profit. They're treating this more like a hobby than a business, but they're still convinced that they're going to make the returns they need to finance a new, flash lifestyle.
smile on your face anyway.
Well,
Do you enjoy it?
I think it would be nice to make a bit of money on the cottage and then go and just blow it. We'll see what Julie thinks.
I prefer to spend the money on another development because to me this is just the first of many. But I don't know. I want the car. You'd like a car, wouldn't you?
Back in the real world, unfortunately, dreams of either a new car or a second development are still somewhat premature. Julie Thomas and Lee Jones have been working on their cottage in Shillington, Bedfordshire, for a long 4 months. They plan to have it back on the market by now, but while the outside is getting a lick of paint, decorating the inside remains a distant pipe dream. Stuck at work all day, Julie knows time is marching on and is frustrated by having to juggle her commitments.
You know, sometimes you wish you could be doing just one or the other and fully concentrating on one or the other job. But I really enjoy the sort of the mental challenge of my job and then the physical challenges that we've got in the evening.
And as they're still determinedly refusing to get in outside help, their only hope of making progress at the cottage is to work late into the night, every night, and Lee's gamely taking on ever more specialist jobs. He's never done any plumbing before, though, and with his inexperience and exhaustion, mistakes are almost inevitable.
Julie, Dave, plumber. You've got a slight problem on your bathroom. Everything leaks.
It doesn't take a professional long to sort it out, and I think next time he might leave this job to the experts. Setbacks and his long hours are starting to take their toll on poor Lee.
It can be a bit tiring. I mean, juggling, working on the cottage as well. I mean, what is it now, about 10 to 7? I'm just heading back now to go home and get changed and then go on to the cottage. I'm sort of getting a bit annoyed with it, you know, that we're not making as fast a progress as I thought we would.
These two have never really worked out the most efficient way of approaching this development. They're not doing themselves any favours working in this haphazard fashion, and I don't think they're doing the project any favours either.
How are you getting on? Oh my goodness. A mammoth task still. It does look a long way off being finished.
I still think we've only got a few weeks left.
We're not as far as it looks.
I think now's the time that you really have to start working out whether this is a business or whether this is a hobby. And if this is a business and it's about making money, you need to get it finished and back on the market at whatever cost that is. I think what you should be really thinking about doing is getting extra help in to get it finished, because this is 6 months in. I think you could be here for another 6 months, quite realistically.
We don't want to hand it over to somebody now, do we? I mean, all the actual, structural work's been done, the hard bit. This is the nice stuff, putting stuff out.
The market is changing fast, and you need to get it sold while there is still some profit in the development.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're still pretty much all right.
We have been following the market, haven't we, quite closely. And there are properties that are similar size to this that are now actually on the market right at this moment at 180,000, 179,000. So
Have they sold?
not yet.
Julie and Lee are being optimistic if they believe they'll get £180,000 for their place. We need to check out the competition. This cottage is just up the road. It's a similar size and period, and it also has 2 bedrooms and an upstairs bathroom.
So, how do you feel that this compares with your house?
Yeah, I mean, it's similar sort of character.
It is under offer at 152,000. So,
Right, yeah, okay.
I feel that pegs your house finished at a similar sort of level.
Right.
It's a good guide to
Right, okay.
not start expecting to get more than that.
Significantly more,
So
yeah, okay.
just make sure that as your budget does squeeze up, you're not thinking, oh, it doesn't matter because we're going to get 170, because I think 150 is the
Yeah.
realistic level for the house.
Okay. Yeah.
They've seen what they're up against, but I'm not convinced they'll agree to change their strategy at this stage. In Norfolk, despite Heidi's somewhat erratic project management, the development of her bungalow is bang on schedule. In fact, she can't get it finished quick enough.
I am probably the most impatient person on the planet. I always want things done now.
And it's because she's in this constant rush that Heidi never paused to plan her development properly. She seems a little out of control, and her decisions are made on the spur of the moment.
While you're here, Heidi, your
Yes.
extractor unit, which has gone up on the wall there,
Yeah?
do you know whether you're going to have it extracted out of the room via a pipe, or do you think you're going to have it extracted round in the room?
I can't remember. I can't remember what I ordered.
You got a chop.
I think I've come to a decision, Bob, on the fireplace at long last. I'm going to put a normal fireplace in there.
Will that have electric ignition on that, or will you just have a push-button ignition?
Oh, I don't know, don't ask complicated. You're asking me complicated questions.
Okay, well,
Can I have an easier one, please?
Badly thought through decisions waste time and money. Even a major purchase like a new bathroom is rushed into because it was ex-display and seemed like a bargain.
And was it a bit of an impulse buy?
I think it was a bit impulsive because I knew that the builders were ahead of schedule, and at that time they were asking that I get the bathroom suite.
Did you just think, this is cheap, let's buy it, and not think about the fact you had to fit it into the space?
It did occur to me, and I thought it would fit into the space, but it wasn't until I came home and I suddenly realised that I'd got the space right, but I'd forgotten about the window.
Yeah. So what's your solution?
We're now going to move this window over to here and make it smaller, because that means this will be wall here, which will be better for a shower anyway, because I'm having a shower as well.
It seems like an awful lot of hassle to go through. You got a cheap bathroom, so you had to move the window, brick up the wall.
Yes.
I think you're nuts. The thing to do is to get another bath. You can get a bath for under £100 and sell this one. If you can get 20 quid, well, all the better for it. And the £80 difference is going to be a lot cheaper than moving the window.
Right. And where would I put the shower then if I left the window there?
Then you'd flip it round. You have the
So
taps
the
at this
shower at that
end,
end.
with the shower above. Funnily enough, actually, ex-display kitchens and bathrooms aren't always as cheap as they seem. By the time you shoehorn them into a space and somehow try to make them work.
Well, they're not in this case, are they?
No. Oh no.
Because the window is on order and the suite is on site, she ploughs ahead with her rather more costly and complicated solution.
It's been quite a big job, actually. It's been quite expensive to do it. We did try to explain to her, you know, the cost of it, but, you know, in the long run, whatever the client wants, the client gets.
And this client is struggling when it comes to project management.
I thought I was being very efficient and made little plans and took dimensions of the carpet sizes, and I haven't quite got to grips with metric yet. I'm still in imperial and I've got it all wrong.
This is quite a way out, to be honest with you. The main bedroom, the lady's got 2.10 metres and that should be 460. So it's half the, I've got half the carpet to do a room, full room.
Bloody sick of it now. I've had enough. I feel as though I just want to get it on the market and move on to the next one. The trouble is my mind's gone off focus on this one and I'm already thinking about the next one.
In Shillington, Julie is also looking for her next development. She's undeterred by the fact her current project is months behind schedule and way over budget, and she knows she wants to continue with this new career.
Yeah, that's really nice. It's fantastic. It's got so much potential. There's so much land and you can extend. I mean, it would be an amazing second development, I think, for us.
But Lee's been lime plastering for months now, and his enthusiasm doesn't quite match Julie's.
Get a bit sick of it, really. I mean, it's dragging on now. It's took a lot longer than we anticipated. I think the chances of us actually doing another development within the next few months, or you know, the next 6 months or so, is very slim.
I'm all ready to plough straight into the next one, whereas he's a bit more cautious and wants to actually wait and see what profit we make on the current house.
I initially said that I'd be happy if we made a profit of £10,000. I mean, I think with the amount of time we have actually spent on the property and the amount of work we've actually done, I would say, you know, 10 grand probably wouldn't be worth it. I wouldn't do it again for that much.
In Norfolk, 4 months of chaotic planning means Heidi's bungalow may not be perfect, but at least it's finished. What started out as a dated 2-bedroom property has become a light, airy 3-bedroom home. It's been done to a very high standard, the fittings are good quality, and by decorating it in neutral tones, Heidi's made sure it'll appeal to everyone. But the road to achieving this fabulous finish has not been entirely smooth. The carpets all fit now, but it took a couple of tries to get them right, and putting in that bargain bathroom suite cost far more than Heidi saved on its purchase.
You moved the window in the end then?
Yes, I moved the window. I agreed with what you said, but to be perfectly honest, it was just sheer laziness.
It was a bit of a waste of money, but it does look great in here.
While Heidi had the right idea adding a master bedroom suite, I still believe she sited it in the wrong place by putting it at the back of the property. What could have been a large open-plan living space has been compromised and doesn't fulfill its potential. So while the new bedroom profits from wonderful garden views, the living room is a little small and has no view.
Your finish is great. The only question mark I'm going to have with it, which I have had from the beginning, is the layout. When you're stripping a house back to its basics, you ultimately, ideally, want to keep the bedrooms and bathrooms in one area and the living rooms in another area, and the living rooms are best overlooking the garden.
I can see that now, yeah. Another lesson learned.
It's logical.
Now, you wanted to spend £37,000 doing the project. How much did you end up spending?
I think it was round about 41.
Which is pretty good, because that's not a long way away from what you were expecting.
Having bought the renovation in for just £4,000 over her estimate, if Heidi gets her projected asking price of £300,000, she'll do really well. But will the agents agree with her?
I wonder whether they might have considered using the back of the house as living space so that they could have had a view from the sitting room into the garden.
I think the location is probably the most important thing for this property. It's going to appeal to a retired couple.
I would value this house at £335,000.
I'd value this house at £295,000.
You were hoping that it would reach 300,000, weren't you?
Yes.
Well, we've had one agent who came in at 295,000 and the other agent came in at 335,000. I have to say, I think that the 335 is probably a little bit optimistic.
Yes.
And I think to be safe, you're better banking on getting there around the sort of the £300,000.
Heidi and Paul bought the bungalow for £200,000. They spent £41,000 on the renovation, and the average valuation came in at £315,000. If they sold for that, they'd make an amazing £74,000 gross profit. This would be an amazing profit, but what will the viewers think it's worth?
It might have been nice as a dining room, though, straight from the kitchen to make this the dining room overlooking the garden.
I like this patio.
Yeah.
And there's a nice G&T seat for the evening.
But that might have been nice not to have that wall there and then there'd been a lot more room.
It's just what I'm looking for. Really? Yes, I can really imagine myself here in this bedroom.
So, have you found it difficult juggling everything?
I thought there would be a lot more aggro than what there actually was. It was quite difficult right at the beginning, and then towards the end it was a little bit fraught, but the in-between bit wasn't too bad. But I have also learnt to be a little bit more patient, if you like, for the next one, because there are some things that can't happen instantly, no matter how much I try.
I think what's really exciting is you really do feel very enthusiastic about this. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, you've been absolutely bitten by the bug, haven't you?
Totally, totally. Yeah. Something I've always wanted to do.
While Heidi and Paul's house is about to go on the market, Julie and Lee are still a long way from completing theirs. They're more than 6 months in, and with their debts mounting and the need to finish becoming urgent, their nightly vigil continues. 8 months ago, Julie Thomas and Lee Jones threw themselves somewhat blindly into the renovation of their Shillington cottage. They didn't know what they'd taken on, nor exactly how to go about changing it. One very steep learning curve later, it's finished.
Hi. Wow, gosh, what a difference.
You can't help but admire their perseverance. They've worked phenomenally hard and brought about an incredible transformation. They did a lot of work that they didn't need to, including replastering every wall, which took months, but the end result looks lovely. They've managed to give the cottage a feeling of rustic, cosy charm, retaining its character while bringing it up to date for the modern market.
Well, it looks fantastic now. I love your kitchen.
Thank you.
It looks very good quality.
Yeah, we did get...
You went a bit
over
the
budget.
top. What did it cost anyway?
About 5,500.
5,500?
Yeah, and our budget was 2.
Yeah. So this was your little luxury?
One of them.
Crikey, there's more. And I've got to say, having the breakfast room makes it. It's now actually really quite a nice space to live in.
Yeah.
The French doors onto the garden were a great idea. And they've added square footage with the extensions, so they've added value. Upstairs, they now have a much better layout and a reasonably sized second bedroom.
And I do think of all the money you've spent on this house, the one area that it was really worth spending was this extension. I think you've got yourself a pretty good development on the back of it.
Yeah, we're really pleased how it looks.
It's also allowed them to get the upstairs bathroom they were so keen on, which looks modern and stylish, but it has all come at a price. The kitchen and bathroom rose from £3,600 to £10,000. Their materials increased from £2,700 to £4,750. Replacing windows and doors came in just £200 over budget at £2,500. But electrics and plumbing increased to £2,600. Decoration and flooring came in on budget at £1,800, and they saved on damp proofing and timber treatment, which fell to just £550. Labour costs nearly tripled to £5,500, and with the extra mortgage costs, their fees went up to £5,775. They spent £500 on the garden, which they hadn't allowed for at all, which means their total rose dramatically to nearly £34,000.
You did overspend by a lot. How did you find the extra?
Credit cards, really.
So you really do need to sell this place quite quickly then?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it would be pretty disastrous to still be sat here in 6 months. But
You wanted to do this project in 3 months. It's actually ended up taking 8 months. Why do you think it's run so far over what you originally expected?
Things take longer, actually, than you think. And especially when we're working full-time. We could have got away with doing a lot less, actually. But I feel like what we've done with the house means that it will stand for another 100 years.
Although they initially hoped to sell for £150,000, their expectations have escalated over the course of the development. Now it will all come down to what the agents think.
That's a nice cosy room.
It would have been nice to have continued the extension to the full width of the property.
Well, this is nice and spacious.
Lovely kitchen. I like the finish here.
Don't know why they've gone for the lime plastering. The property's not listed, so it's really an extra, in my view, they could have done without.
I think, showing-wise, perhaps this piece of furniture is a little bit too big, actually.
Oh, wow, they've spent some money in here.
First floor bathroom in a cottage like this really sells it.
The market is getting much quieter now we're going into the Christmas period. However, properties like this, they always sell, providing they're on at the right price.
I would value this property at £159,950.
I think the property will achieve £160,000.
I would value this property at £165,000.
Well, we have had 3
valuations.
Yes.
The average of those is £161,650. It gives you a profit of £21,675. If you walked away with that profit, would you be happy with that?
20,000, yeah, I mean, it's...
Yeah, I mean, a little bit disappointed. I expected it to be actually worth a bit more than that.
I think, I mean, if we could sell it for 160 tomorrow, then...
Gosh, yeah,
we'd be happy and walk away with the money.
Yeah.
That'd be, I mean, that'd be fantastic.
What matters now is whether the viewers will be willing to pay enough to justify the months of hard work.
Okay, not bad. First impressions?
No, I like it. Oh, lovely bathroom. You couldn't get more than one person doing anything, really, could you?
No, but that would be my excuse for not being in the kitchen.
Nice little room. It's quite noisy.
Well, you take your shoes off, didn't you, sweetie?
If it was on the market for 150, I would definitely put in an offer for it. Overall, I like it.
Yeah, I had a few reservations about the ducking into the door and then the low ceiling. You get over that almost instantly and you warm to the place.
The care and attention Julie and Lee have lavished on this cottage shows through, but I'm not sure theirs was the best way to approach a business venture. What would be your one piece of advice that you would give to another person who was thinking about developing?
Probably not to try and do all the work yourself.
If we would have made a little bit more use of people, then we probably could have turned around that bit quicker. And
yeah,
I think you've earned your money. In the last 8 months, you've given up every weekend and every evening practically. So what are you going to spend the profit on? Another development or a sports car?
The development.
Immediately.
Julie and Lee need to sell this before launching into a second development. But in Norfolk, Heidi's bungalow is under offer at £305,000. £5,000 more than she'd originally hoped for. And she's already starting on her next project.
Bring it on!
After only a week on the market, Julie and Lee have accepted an offer of £162,500. But for the time being, they're just enjoying their return to normal life. Developing a property whilst holding down a full-time job was never going to be easy, whether you get the professionals in or do it yourself. But as these developers prove, if you've got the tenacity and drive to see it through, anything's possible.